Kenzy Knoxx and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we will be painting Misty Forest step-by-step acrylic painting tutorial by ColorByFeliks. I believe that's how you pronounce it. But anyway, I'm super excited to paint this. It should be super fun. I believe this is going to be a series of videos only because his tutorial is 2.5 hours long. So I'll probably break it down into a couple of series or parts. So this will be part one of many parts. So let's just jump in and get started. So today I'm working on an 11x14 mixed media paper in ColorByFeliks, or Felix is working, I believe it's Felix, I think that's his name, I'm sorry if it's not, but he's working on a 14x20 or 16x20 size canvas, I believe. So his is a little bit larger, but it should be pretty much around the same. As for colors, we're going to jump on in. So we've got our white or titanium white. You can put that down on your palette. We also need some black. He uses Mars Black, but I don't have Mars Black, so I am going to just use black. So I've got my black. He also uses Naphtha Red Light, which I have no idea what color that is, so I am going to assume that is like a crimson red-ish color, maybe. So I might use crimson red on Naphtha Red Light. I've also got a darker red. I could use a red fire. Maybe I'll use the red fire. I'm torn between these two tones, so I might just wait and see it out. He also uses phthalo blue green, which is, I believe, just phthalo blue. I don't know what phthalo blue green shade means. It's blue color. Okay, so for phthalo blue, I use phthalo blue. This phthalo blue, actually. Alright, and then also cad yellow light, which I don't have, so I'm going to have to use cadmium yellow hue. Cad yellow hue. Okay, so he takes for a long time. So he's using a number 8 and a number 2 round brush. I'm just going to say large and small. And then he's got a few flat brushes. Alright, we don't even need to know the brushes. So his palette, paper towel. So in order to get the colors that we need on his palette, there are 3 different shades that he creates, and so each of them require a large dollop of white. And so for the first color, you're going to have a dollop of white and then a dollop of phthalo blue. And you're going to mix those two together. And then your second color is going to be a dollop of white, a dollop of phthalo blue, and then a dollop of cad yellow hue. And then your third color is going to be a dollop of white, a little drop of the cad yellow hue, and a little drop of that red color that you ended up using, which I think I ended up using that fire red color. So he mixes 3 different colors, and I will try to color match them. So I probably should not have, but these are the colors on my palette right now. I probably don't need these on my palette because I probably have the shade that I need below. So we'll see what colors they turn out to be. Okay, so after mixing the colors up, I used, actually I had a color called Cool Blue, and I just added a little white to this. This right here is a white with a little dollop of yellow and a little dollop of green, blue, the phthalo blue. This one here was a mistake, don't look at that one. This one is white with a little dollop of the fire red and then a little dollop of the cad yellow. And that is all, okay? So there are the colors. So you got your blue, your green, and your pink, or your peachy pink. Okay, so now let's see what we're doing. In order to do this next step, we will need a medium-sized round brush or mop brush, such as this one. And so I grabbed a little bit of that color, that green shade on my brush, as you can see, just a little bit there. And I'm just going to start making little circles around the center. And I'm just going to go over a little to the left and a little upwards, just right around the middle, and pick up more paint as needed. I think he wets his brush just slightly to help the paint move around. So if you're having difficulty, make sure you do not dunk your brush into water or you'll completely lose your brush shape and ability to use it. And so now back to the painting. So we're just going to add a little green area to the right side of the canvas. And then we're going to now, without cleaning our brush off, we're going to load our brush with that peachy color, and we're going to start in on our canvas between those green areas. And we're just going to just swirl it on in there, grabbing big little dollops of paint, and we're going to go between the green, under the green, and then on the left side of the canvas, on the left side of the green, we're going to fill that area in with that peachy color. It is okay to slightly blend in and soften that green and peachy color. And we're going to take that peachy color just up to about that point and stop. We don't want to go much higher because we're going to be adding blue above the peach and green color. So here we are adding that blue shade now, and we're just going to fill in the top portion of the canvas with this color. If you're having trouble with the color moving around the canvas, feel free to dip the tips of the bristles into water and then pick up some paint and then move it around the canvas. Just be careful because water will water down the paint and your color may be a bit watered down more than you want it to be, and the color will be more translucent. So you can see mine kind of did that. You can always add layers though, and this will be covered because it's the background, so don't worry too much about it. So now that we're done filling in the colors of the top of the canvas that we want to fill in, we're just going to go around and soften up the canvas just a little bit and soften the colors together. So using that mop brush, I'm just going around and getting rid of those streaks and also some of these hairs that keep falling out. I don't know why they keep falling out of my brush, but they do. But anywho, back to blending and softening the colors. So just take your brush and just swirl it around the greens, the peaches, and the blues, and they'll all just soften really nicely together. Just make sure that they don't blend and combine in color because that's not what we want. And I'm just also trying to remove hairs, which you can do once your canvas is dry, so don't worry too much about them if you have any hairs on your canvas. So since I ran out of my blue color and I wasn't really happy with the coverage, I actually discovered this color called Cool Blue, and this actually matches quite closely with the color that he uses if you add a little white to it, so it's a perfect shade. So I'm just going to add this to my palette and start painting the top over again with it. And the only reason I am doing this is because the blue just was a little bit too transparent for my liking, and so I just thought this looked much better, and I was much more pleased with the color. And after I actually did the blue, I decided to go over both the green and the peach again too, only because my paints are not high-end or high-quality paints, and so they tend to be transparent in color. And so because of this, I actually got a better coverage, and it looked much better too. So our next step is to create two different shades of gray using white, black, and yellow cad medium hue. So here's my palette, and you can see 2 dollops of white. And so the first pile, I'm going to be adding 2 dollops of black, and then to the second pile, I'll be adding 1 dollop of black. And then I'm going to be taking a dollop of the yellow cad medium hue to the first pile and another dollop to the yellow cad medium hue to the second pile. And those two piles will become two different color grays, and one will be much darker than the other. Okay, so those are two different colors of black, or gray, I'm sorry, lighter and darker, and you can definitely tell the difference. So there should be should definitely be able to tell. I think I need more white in mine though. So I think we're going with a light gray. So for that lighter gray, I'm going to add more white. Okay, so there are my two shade colors. This is about 2 shades lighter than this one. Now we're going to take our 1/2 inch, or I'm going to grab my number 6 flat brush. This one, because I like it how it draws the trees, because we're going to be drawing trees. So go ahead and get that wet and tap off the drips. And I guess we're drawing the trees as if I think they're going towards the center. Okay, we're getting our brushes wet, so damp your brush in water, tap it in water, tap off the drips. Grab the lighter gray. We don't want them straight. Sorry, my sniffles, they're back. Hello, sniffles. I have not missed you. Okay, so his first one starts in the center. It's kind of small. No, just straight. Well, it might be crooked. I'm not sure. Okay, and then he draws another one right next to it, pretty much, about an inch away from it, same size. And he draws another one that goes a little bit farther down, a little bit farther down, a little bit taller, need more paint. Okay, and then I pick up some more paint and draw a taller one. That's about here. Oops. That's okay, trees aren't meant to be straight anyway. And then we're going to do 2 little guys right here. And then 1 guy over this way. And they're starting to lean inward. He's going to come down farther. And then another guy starts a little here. Starts creeping that way. Okay, so now we're going to do another tree with that light gray. And he's tilting it now to the side. So making that lighter gray. We are drying very lightly. Oops, I got a water drip. Watch out for those drips. And I'm just drawing them in randomly now. They don't match his. I'm just drawing in a few trees here. Paint's not transferring. Okay, so he's using a liner brush. I'm gonna grab my liner brush. Liner brush. Get a little water. Use that same light color. I'm just gonna draw a few branches down. I'm gonna put a little media extender. If you have any sort of media extender, I highly suggest mixing it into your 2 batches of gray because we need this paint to last a long time. So I'm just putting a few lines coming down. Okay, so in the center. So the next step in this process is essentially just drawing a bunch of branches going downwards on most of our trees, if not all of them. A stabilizer too. If you mess up on these branches, it's not really a big deal. These are in the very background, so I'm just going to speed through this process because you really don't need to be that detailed during this. Here's one of these. This one's big guy. Really do need a big extender for this stuff. Or you can spray your palette down with water too, that might help. For this layer of trees, just keep in mind that we're sticking with that light gray color. I think I need a different liner brush. I need the long bristle liner brush. So I'm gonna use. Okay, so my liner brush, yay! Get it wet. Okay, dip it in. Make sure your consistency is very inky wet. And this makes it very easy to create these if your paint is wet, like ink. So this step, we're still creating these branches, just going in a downward direction. We're just using a different brush, and we're still going with that light gray shade. And you can use any brush that you feel comfortable making branches with. It really doesn't matter. Whatever is easiest for you. I'm just doing standard Christmas tree-like branches, just because I know this painting takes forever to do, and I'm trying to break it down to make it easier. Okay, and then we can even just put some lines in the background too that are just bare. Okay. I don't know what brush is he using a flat brush? So for this next step, he's going ahead and using a flat brush to create brush within the trees. And so I'm going to use a number 8 flat brush and give it a go. Typically I would use a filbert brush or a mop brush of some sort, but when in Rome, right? So sticking with that light gray shade, we are going to go ahead and dip our brush into that paint. And we're going to start in on our tree bristles, brush, whatever you want to call it, foliage. There we go, foliage. And you can see when I'm trying to add in the foliage that I'm using the brush and just trying to tap it straight downward. And this is sort of working, I guess. I'm trying it out, but his bristles are a bit more worn, so they give a much better look than my brush is doing. So I'm going to actually switch over to my size 8 filbert brush, and I'm going to start tapping in that foliage, and it's a lot easier this way. And so I'm also going to speed up the video, and we're going to just add the foliage to the branches and in front of the tree trunks too, don't forget about that. And basically focus on the top and center of the tree, so we don't want to go all the way down the tree. Just keep that in mind. And just tapping the way to the side. So on this tree I realized that you couldn't really see the branches. I didn't really draw them out, especially in proportion to the size of the tree. So I decided to take my liner brush and draw in some branches with that light gray color before adding the foliage. I also realized that maybe this tree should be a little bit taller than the other trees, so I decided to elongate it and add in the branches and the foliage as well. I zoomed in and I drew this in and didn't need to. So oops. But since I can see the end painting, I don't think it's going to really matter too much. So now using our same filbert brush, we're going to take the same color paint and we're going to take a little bit of water into that paint and create a translucent faraway brush, like bushes type of look. So we're just taking watered down paint and doing these little dabs on the canvas. And you don't need to be too concerned about the placement of where this goes. Just give it a rough estimate because this is basically the underpainting, and in the background it'll be mostly hidden by the paint that we cover it with when we come up through the foreground. So now I'm just taking a little bit more water on my brush with that paint, and we're just going to continue with the little coverage of the background bushes. So after rinsing off your brush, we're going to start in with that darker shade of gray that we used. We're going to be creating larger trees in the more foreground area. And I'll be using my number 6 flat brush to do this as I did before with the lighter shade of gray. So again, that's the darker shade of gray, and we're going to be creating larger trees that are more in the foreground. And I'll speed this up just a little bit so that it doesn't take so long. And in order to make the trunks a little thicker, all you need to do is simply apply a little bit more pressure to your brush as you get to the bottom of the tree. So with light pressure at the top, you can create a thinner trunk, and then as you pull the brush down, apply more pressure and you'll create a thicker trunk at the bottom. Down to make it a little thicker by accident. And then this one, I'll be almost straight. And remember that we're trying to create a look where we're looking up at the trees, so we want them sort of diagonal towards the center. Then we want one that comes off the edge, that comes almost to the top. Kind of very angled. Still getting those hairs off. Cool. Alright, and now I'll have one over here. Okay, so since, well, taking this middle guy, coming down a little lower, it's going to be the thickest. I go up almost to the top. Oh, it goes up to the top. And then this guy is going to come down just a little bit. Make that square edge. This one. Just going to square out this one. Leave this one back here. Just going to darken this one in just a little bit. Okay, using a detail brush, going over that dark color, get the inky consistency, same type of branches. So now that we've got our trunks established, we're just going to go on through and create our branches again so that we can put some foliage on these trees. And so I'm just speeding this up for you so that it just doesn't take as long. Just know that we're just putting branches on trees, so just add those in. Oh, and remember that these branches too are facing downwards. And don't give these branches too much thought or too much of your time because they will be covered with foliage. So if you're worried about making mistakes, don't be. Just make these branches facing downwards and create little twigs and whatnot, and you'll be fine. As we finish up our branches, this will conclude the part 1 of this YouTube tutorial, so I hope you've enjoyed it so far, and I hope you stay tuned until part 2 comes out. So remember to like and to subscribe to my channel to make sure that when part 2 comes out that you'll be notified. So until next time, I'll see you guys later. Okay, bye!